are now listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
IELTS General Task 1. Letter writing structure, style and improvements. Hi there, my name is Ben Worthington. Thank you for tuning into today's tutorial, all about GT1, as the insiders call it. The GT1 almost sounds like an attractive car. So with the IELTS General Task 1, I honestly think this is one of the easiest parts of the IELTS exam, because it's where certain phrases are expected of you. This is standard letter writing etiquette, you could say. And in this tutorial, we're going to look at the 3 different styles of writing. We're going to look at the organization, and we're going to look at how you work through your letter and how to check it at the end. So again, it's another high value tutorial. Grab a pen, make notes. If we transform this exercise from passively listening to actively listening, taking notes, you are far more likely to remember what has been taught. You're far more likely to use it. And one other thing, if you do actually apply what you've learnt in the next letter, then you are well on the way just to make it sort of like almost part of your letter writing skills. But if you don't take notes and if you don't apply what you've learnt, then you've not really improved. So at the very least, at least try to make a mental note on a few points, and at the very least try and integrate those points into the next letter you've written. Now, if this is the first time you're listening to the tutorial, you're probably thinking, who is this guy I'm listening to? Well, my name's Ben Worthington, and I've been teaching IELTS now for well over 10 years. I started off as a generalist English tutor, and to be honest, I got off the plane, I was looking for work in Spain. I'd finished my university course in Spain, and I was looking for work. There wasn't much going on. I remember actually they were recruiting graduates, and we were walking around. It was a lock-making factory, bike locks, if I remember correctly. And we were walking around, and they were like, oh, here's Miguel. Miguel's been here for 20 years. He started off just making the locks, and now he's working in the marketing department. If you work hard, you can be like Miguel. And I was like, what? 20 years? 20 years? And he's been in this industry for 20 years, and he got from, I don't know, making locks to the marketing. I was like, man, wow. I mean, it might seem normal for you guys. Probably not, actually, because you're IELTS students. You're aiming higher. You've got more ambition. You want to go places. You want to get to Australia. You want to get to the UK, work as a nurse, as a doctor, work on the PhD course, Yeah, that's basically why I got into IELTS. One of the reasons was because it's like high stakes exam. Highly motivated students, ambitious students, smart students, students who are going places. They don't just want to maintain their English skills. They got to improve it to a certain level to get to the next step in their life. And any decent tutor would work with motivated students any day of the week over standard normal students. I mean, working with children is fine, but you don't get the same satisfaction as you do as when you're working with motivated IELTS students who are just coming on leaps and bounds, improving with every lesson, with every piece of feedback they get. And yeah, it's just 10 times more rewarding. So very briefly, I started these tutorials, this podcast, because I was lost when I started. I was lost. I didn't know how to teach IELTS. So I was like asking other tutors, how do you do an academic essay? What's this essay format? How do you organize your thoughts? How do you choose and select the right information for academic task 1? How do you organize your answer for part 2? How do you respond quickly, fluently for part 3? And I was getting all this information. I was like, this is beautiful. I'm using it with my students. And I was like, actually, you know what? I should be recording this because it's amazing information. And then I was like, you know what? I should be releasing this to help other tutors prepare their students, to help students as well. And so that's how I started IELTS Podcast. And then I started getting all the useful information, testing it on my private students. If it worked, it went into the online course. And then we released the online course, helped tons and tons of students pass the exam. That's why we've got success stories. And then we developed the best essay checker for IELTS students, IELTS essays, on our site. Just go to IELTSPodcast.com and you can get your essay evaluated for free there. And when you upgrade, which I think you should upgrade, you get more data, you get better feedback, it's higher quality, and you get access to a course, and you get access to an insane discount on all our courses as well. So let's jump into it. General Task 1. With General Task 1, you want to be looking at your structure. Okay, you could be writing a personal statement for university, you could be writing a job application, you could be writing a letter to a neighbor to look after your dog, you could be staying at a homestay, and you'll be reaching a family. And all of these different scenarios will fall into 3 different registers of writing. We have formal, very diplomatic. Your opening is "Dear Sir, Madam," and the closing line can be "Respectfully yours, sincerely, yours faithfully." And then we have semi-formal, and this requires more. This corresponds more with the requirements of IELTS. Again, you're going to be using "Dear Sir" or "Madam." The closing line might be, very sincerely yours. I know I said sincerely before. It's kind of borderline, but I would go with more semi-formal now. You could use "yours courteously," "very truly yours." And you're probably writing to a university or a company. You're not using contractions, just to be on the safe side. And you're using set phrases, which I will get to later on. Then we have informal. And this is when you're writing to a colleague, a work colleague, or if you're writing to a friend, then it's going to be more informal. So when you're writing to a friend, you could be like, I hope you're doing great, ! Just to show some warmth. How's your dog doing? You're using contractions and you're being quite direct. I'd love to have a dog like yours. Again, contractions, quite direct. And for there, we might say, all the best and have a super day, ! And then you sign your name. Yeah. If it's a work colleague, you may use contractions, but you would be a little bit more controlled over the vocabulary. So as you noted, if we're writing to a friend, you say, I'd love a dog like yours. Yeah. Maybe we wouldn't be so direct if we're writing to a colleague. You'd say something, I would really like to have the opportunity to have a dog like yours, assuming you were writing a letter to your colleague about a dog, for example. Okay, so what I'm saying is we tone it down a little bit. Now, when I'm correcting essays, I see students use spoken English in their written academic essays. I see this all the time. They're not even aware of it. And this is probably a student who's just come into contact with IELTS, probably just getting into contact with academic English. So even though it's with your friend, we don't say, even if it's with your colleague, we won't use colloquial phrases. So if we're writing with our friend, as I was saying, it's less informal. Let's say, I find it super irritating, for example. It's kind of stronger, more direct, and a little bit more relaxed. Like, I totally agree. Yeah? So these kind of phrases that we definitely use more in the spoken English. So this is why I think General Task 1 is easier, because 1, if you're writing to a friend, you're going to be able to use your spoken English register, your spoken English vocabulary, phrases and grammar. to a certain extent. Obviously, you're not going to be writing something like, we're going to be off to the pub on Friday if you fancy coming down and we're going to get wasted. No, you would never write that. That's just way, way too informal. But it would be maybe not your best friend, but it would be like you're talking to your friends and your parents are there, for example. That's what we're kind of looking at. And also the second reason why I think GT1 is kind of more easier is because you've got the set phrases like please find my resume, please find my CV attached, or I am writing to you regarding. These set phrases in our online course about General Task 1, we've got them all listed. It's very straightforward. Now, also with your letter, writing to your friend, again, you're going to sign off. You're going to start with something like, hi Dave, and you're going to sign off with hugs and kisses, take care, love you, just really like spoken language, as I said before. Now, the organization, again, I believe is far more straightforward. Academic Task 1 can be a bit of a nightmare to organize. It's like, oh, I'm writing out all these details. Oh, I've got to list these points. Oh, I've got to include this. It's like, where do I start? Well, with General Task 1, it's far more straightforward. So when you see your question, you'll have 3 bullet points to work through. These will include like just points for you to follow. Now, generally, we advise you to write roughly a paragraph for each one. Keep it separately, but it's almost like your plan of what you're going to write. A paragraph for each point. Work through it. Do not get distracted. Do not start writing about something else. Just go into detail in each of the bullet points. Let's have a look at a typical one. For example, we've got a letter of complaint. And you will need to include the date and the time when it happened, the reason for your complaint, and what you would like from the company you are writing to, assuming you're writing a letter of complaint to a company. It's quite easy now just to structure, as I said before, structure your letter around those bullet points. It's relatively straightforward. Let me give you 2 examples for the first one. So I'm writing, this is my writing. I would like a refund of £99 plus VAT minus import duties. The import duties can be paid to my Swiss bank account and the VAT can be sent directly to an agent in customs in London. That's ridiculous. As I said before, don't start adding extra unnecessary information. A better version would be, I would like a refund to my bank account. Please find the details attached. Please find the details over leaf. These are the set phrases that I was mentioning before. It's solid, it's straightforward, it's easy to understand, and the examiner will definitely get what the main message is. So, as I said, you only want to include the essential details. If you're traveling on an aeroplane and your flight is due to arrive at 7 a.m. in the morning, you don't have to mention that unless it's necessary. You don't have to mention like, I hope there won't be turbulence in the air. I hope that the air's on that the flight's there on time. No, you just give them your sort of like estimated time of arrival. That's it, and what you expect, assuming the question asks for that. Now, when we're writing, in both cases, informal, neutral, in all cases, informal, neutral, formal, semi-formal, best practice is to start the first sentence. So we say, dear sir, madam, or hi Jenny, whatever. And then the sentence that comes next is, I am writing in respect to, I am writing with regards to, I am writing with regards to a complaint I have from my experience at your cafe on June 3rd, 2023, for example. Straight, that's what we want to put in the first line. Now, with the neutral or with the informal ones, it's a little bit more relaxed, again, it's your friend. So you can start off with, again, closer to spoken English. We could say, "Hi Jenny, how is everything going? I hope Polly is good. I just wanted to ask you," yeah? So it's not the first sentence there. Just like when you meet a friend, you're going to ask them how they are, how their pet is, how their sister is, whatever. And then you say, "Well, I just wanted to reach out because I heard you're really good at reviewing essays," whatever. So again, it's a little bit more relaxed. Now, you should write this letter for a reader. This will help you get a higher score. So what does that mean? Well, you keep that principle in mind. So you're writing for the reader. Respect the tone. Don't be aggressive. Don't write something like, "I want a refund within 24 hours," or "my legal team will be contacting you shortly." Something like that. It's just too aggressive, and it's very unlikely you're going to have to write at that level of aggressiveness. So we should be courteous. Again, like I said in a previous tutorial, I was talking about using full forms. "I do not want a refund today." "I do not want a cash refund." No, that's far too negative. I would prefer a refund directly to my bank account rather than a cash refund. You would not write, "I do not want a refund." And again, threatening language might sound like this: "If you do not give me a refund, I'll contact the police in the next 24 hours. And this could be what's going on in your head if you really get into this IELTS General Task 1 writing exercise. You're thinking, these people, it reminds me of this bank that I had an interaction with, so on and so forth. So again, be courteous. Again, this is a polite culture we're dealing with here. It's the English culture, Anglo-Saxon culture. And I know in some cultures you don't say the please and thank yous. It's not considered rude. Whereas in England, in the US, and most English-speaking countries, you have to say your please, the thank yous. You don't say "I want a refund." You say "I'd like a refund." But there is still a skill in being quite firm. These are the types of skills you pick up when you do like a specific letter writing course. Now, once you've finished writing, obviously you're going to check it for mistakes. Now, here's a side note for error review. This is what we encourage all our students to do when they are on our online course and sending in the essays for human essay correction. You can also do this when you're using our online essay checker. After each essay you write, after each letter, you get your review back. Now make a note, make a list, all the things you did well, all the things you did poorly. Obviously you're going to go and study the things you did poorly. However, the next time you write an essay or a letter, you look for those specific mistakes you made before, because it's probable, highly probable, that you're going to make them again. It's not going to be cured from one essay to the next. So you look for those specific essays. Those specific errors. And you'll be quicker to spot them because you'll know what you're looking for. You're not just looking for general errors, you're just looking for the specific ones. And you solve them because now you know the theory on how to solve them. So it's relatively straightforward. And then, by then, hopefully you've got a high scoring writing task 1 general writing component completed, and you're moving on to your task 2. Or as some students do, they usually go to task 2 first, then do task 1. It's up to you. That's it for now. I wish you a beautiful day. And I want you to keep on working, keep on studying. You will get there in the end. You just need to keep moving forward. So have a beautiful day, and I wish you all the best for your IELTS preparation. And good luck.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.